show for Tuesday. So sorry that happened, but we got a special treat. We got Dave with us on the Thursday, and we got Ron Hampton with us, and we're going to talk NFC North football tonight. So how's everybody doing? How are you doing, Dave, Ron?
I'm doing pretty good, buddy. We're trying to slap this together on short notice. And so, I want to talk about the Minnesota Vikings. I won't be around too long. I don't expect to be past 9 o'clock because I got to take care of my kids now. But, I'll be at full strength Sunday night. Hopefully Ron's doing good. He's fixing up his computer so he can see comments. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Just a little, I'm not going to lie. I'm a little sore. I've been doing the gym this week. I started my workout again, and I haven't missed a day since last Thursday and Friday. So I've been going since Saturday till now. So other than that, it's been a pretty good week. Ready to talk some football. I know I was ready on Tuesday, and then unfortunately, our guest couldn't get off at working time, but you know what I mean? At the end of the day, work got to come first.
Yeah, I've tried to get a hold of people and try to help you out when it comes to, doing the interviews and stuff. And, we've been really close to having a Denver Bronco fan. Kevin Levering was going to join us and talk about Denver Broncos, but they've got a real sick little girl. She's got Down syndrome, and, she was born earlier in the year, and so she's still got to have heart surgery, and there's a lot of stuff going on, and he was prepared to come in, and something happened, and then, he's just like, I just can't make it. And then I've talked to quite a few other people. I'm hoping we can get Tisha Warner on here to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles. I'd like to hear from Tammy Henshaw about the Tennessee Titans. I almost had Tim Johansson tonight, and there's still a chance that he'll be on to talk Chicago Bears. But, he'll have to join in late if he sees the link I sent him. But, just to get started here a little bit, we've all had a lot of time where we've been talking here, and we haven't talked about it on a Tuesday because this is or a Thursday. This is a makeup for Tuesday, but I haven't signed anybody up for the draft. Okay, we want to do a fan-based mock draft. We'll run the draft, and we want to ask you folks out there, whoever your team is, to make a pick for your team. And then we'll announce it on one of the Sunday night special broadcasts. I know a Carolina Panther fan. You could probably call them up and be like, hey, who you taking with the first pick? But I don't know any Houston Texan fans. I don't know any Arizona Cardinal fans. We need to get these guys, if you're out there, if you're on NFL Renegades, if you're on Pigskin People, if you're a friend of mine on my Facebook or on Chris's Facebook, get in hold of us so we can talk to you. You don't have to do anything special. We just want to know who you're going to pick for your team and your position so we can have a fun fan-based mock draft.
Yes, and also, I want to also make an announcement. If you're a good, knowledgeable fan of any team and you would like to do an interview and talk real football, it got to be professionally, no smoking, drinking, anything on camera, etc. Feel free to message me or Dave. We can set up a week and a time where you can be featured on the broadcast. Don't be afraid.
That'd be great.
I want to start reaching out to other teams. I don't want it always to be NFC North teams. I want to, talk to people for all fan bases, AFC East, South, West, the whole 9 yards.
Right.
if you want to kick off the first topic for tonight, I'm going to keep sharing the live stream. So if you and Ron want to kick off the first topic, and I'll jump in when I can.
I'll let you go,
Well,
Dave.
hang on one second here. I'm trying to, it's not gonna work. Probably got to do it on my phone, and then I look stupid because I'm looking down. I was trying to share the broadcast to my page. Yeah, I'll start the first topic. Ron, tell me, what are your true feelings about Aaron Rodgers admitting that he wants to play for the New York Jets?
I honestly, I think he's mad, to be honest. And I think he's only doing it to be kind of spiteful in a way, because he said when he went into this darkness retreat that he was 90% retired, 10% playing. And I think he comes out of that. If he doesn't get the news that he did coming out of it, I think he was going to be back in Green Bay, to be honest with you. Because he decided he loves the game. It's not something you walk away with. I mean, you got 18 years involved in the team, 19 years almost. It's one of those things where you hear the rumor mill swirling and stuff like that, and you let your emotions get the best of you, and you say something that you regret. And now it's too late. He said it, and they're ready to move on from him. And honestly, I can't blame him. The prima donna shit, the stuff that he does in the off season and holding people hostage and stuff like that, it gets boring, it gets tiring. It gets tiring as a fan, it gets tiring as an organization.
Yeah, I get you, and it's so eerily similar to what happened with Brett Favre, he deciding if he's going to retire or not. And then Brett Favre ended up with the Jets, and here's Aaron Rodgers. Now, they haven't made a deal yet, and they're stringing it along here as long as they can. I think they're doing that on purpose to irritate Aaron. They know they're going to make a deal, but, we're not going to make a deal right now.
Well, I think the Jets are signing some of the players that Aaron Rodgers had on his quote unquote wish list. But the only thing that makes me wonder about that is, why have they not signed Randall Cobb? Because he was one of them that was on the wish list. And now Robert Tonyan is going to the Bears, and he was on that wish list. So Randall Cobb would be cheap to sign. He would be dirt cheap for the Jets to sign him, because all they'd really have to sign him to is a minimum, a veteran minimum. And they have not.
I have a theory on that. And my theory is that they're loading up with true playmakers. Randall Cobb's over the hill, Yes, he can be an effective player, but he was only brought in this last year because Aaron wanted that to happen. Right. Now, they signed Mecole Hardman, the former Kansas City Chief wide receiver. He's got a lot of speed, but he's an inconsistent player. He's basically going to take over for Elijah Moore, who wanted out of New York. They traded him, I think, yesterday to the Cleveland Browns. Swapped a second and third round pick along the way there. They're looking into Odell Beckham Jr. They've got the rookie Garrett Wilson. They've got Alan Lazard already. You can only have so many wide receivers on your team, and if you're going to pay for them, you better get the best of the best. I think Odell Beckham Jr. and me and Chris, you can verify this. We talked about it before. I said I thought Odell Beckham Jr. would be a Jet.
Yeah, we talked about it. I mean, he's still out there. I don't know if they really have the money for it or not. And at this point too, I think it's starting to get to the point with the Jets on this wish list that they're starting to really, look in. Are they really going to get Aaron Rodgers? Because it's been what now, officially a week since he's announced that he's tend to play for the Jets, and there's still no trade on the table, not, no reports to them even being close. I want to just bring this up. You think it's possible at all that Green Bay is just like, you know what? Let's not trade him. Let's force him to retire. maybe for a little payback from the Cinderella bullshit throughout the years he's put this team through. I mean, I don't personally think that, but at this point, you really got to start asking that question because it seemed like they've made it clear that they want to move on. Aaron's made it clear he wants to move on, and there's still nothing even close on the table to being done.
You got to take into consideration. I see a lot of Jet fans and a lot of even Packer fans sitting out there saying that Green Bay has no leverage and that all leverage is on the Jets side, and that's utter bullshit because Green Bay has all the leverage that they could possibly need. First and foremost, Aaron Rodgers signed a 3-year contract, so he's still under contract with the Green Bay Packers. So the Green Bay Packers have that leverage on their side. And then they say, well, they're holding out for this huge haul for Aaron Rodgers. Rightfully so, they should. Just like I said in a comment today, he's a 4-time MVP and a Super Bowl winner. You know, so you should get a haul for it, and you should hold out to get the biggest haul you can get. I heard rumors that they're asking for a first-round pick, a second-round pick, and a starting caliber player. That is not a big price to ask for caliber players such as Aaron Rodgers, because Aaron Rodgers will be the best thing that ever happened to the Jets if he goes. Period. You put weapons around him, and he's going to eat people up, you know, no matter how old he is. So they got all the in order.
I agree with you. I mean, that, but at the same time, I also feel this is Aaron Rodgers has made it known that he's this close to retiring this year.
Right.
So that means the Jets might have a window like this in reality with him over there. He might only give the Jets 1 of the 2 years remaining on that contract. So that's where I think it kind of hurts Green Bay in the first-round pick. I still think you can get a second-round pick and maybe something else out the deal, you know, maybe a couple more, maybe a third-round pick, maybe even a second for next year. I don't know if you're getting 2 first-round picks for a 39-year-old QB.
They're not asking for 2 first-round picks. From what I heard, well, I seen a report on saying they're asking for a first, a second, and a starting caliber player. And that's a small price to ask for Aaron Rodgers, especially since the Jets just picked up an extra second-round pick with the trade of Elijah Moore.
They're delusional. They're delusional. They're not going to get it. If they're gonna trade that much stuff to pay that kind of money, they'll just go ahead and they'll pick up Lamar Jackson. You know, I think that for me, looking at the situation, I can understand if they want a first-round draft pick, but I damn sure wouldn't give it to them this year. You know, I think it would be a conditional pick possibly going forward. You know, the biggest pick I'd give them this year would be a 2. When they traded Brett Favre and he still had 3 years left in him, they only got a 4th-round pick. They were ready to move on then too, you know, to Aaron Rodgers. They're ready to move on to Jordan Love, you know.
But you also got to understand when the Brett Favre situation happened, Brett Favre was the one that had his hands involved in the trade to the Jets because Green Bay still owned Brett Favre's rights at the time, kind of like they do with Aaron Rodgers now. And Brett Favre knew that he had to go to the AFC for 1 year. He had to go for 1 year, and then he could come to Minnesota because he wanted to get back at Green Bay playing at Minnesota. And he even said it on camera. He said, Minnesota plays Green Bay 2 times a year, and I wanted to prove that I still had what I had and could beat them. And I think it's going to be a similar thing with Aaron Rodgers. Now, he may not go to Minnesota, but I see him potentially playing with the New York Jets. If they don't get him his full wish list, I see him playing for him for 1 year and then hanging him up.
Well, there's a team option for the 3rd year. And so the 3-year contract that he signed, you know, it was a 3-year, $150 million contract. He's played out the 1st year. He's going to go into this 2nd season here. If he plays for the Jets, they hold his rights for the next 2 seasons, this one and the next one. And so only if he retires, you know, and says, oh, I'm done, and they were to cut him, would he be free to go and play for whoever he wanted to. Otherwise, it'd be another situation. And I don't think he'll want to leave. The weapons that they are putting around him in New York, the people that they have signed, you know, they're going to be a dangerous team in the AFC. Now, the AFC is loaded, but they're still going to be a dangerous team.
Well, it might be a dangerous team, and I would have to go back and look more into Aaron Rodgers' contract with Green Bay. If I'm not bad mistaken, that third year had a clause in it that it could be a void year, I believe. If I'm not bad mistaken, I believe that third year could be a void year.
I think you're correct, but it has to be voided by the team, not by the player.
Right. Well, and obviously it would be voided by Green Bay if he leaves.
No, that stays with the contract as he gets traded to the Jets.
But then they would
That
have to
doesn't automatically go away if he gets traded. The entirety of the contract goes with him.
But if that's the case, then they would also have to pick up that portion of the salary that
They're going to.
Well, they would have to, you know.
Yeah, they're going to.
Of it at that point. I don't know. I mean, there's so many different ways that they do shit and moving stuff around, and you know, the way they word contracts and stuff. It's just like everybody's saying that, oh, everybody's over the cap and everything. This, you're in cap hell and this, that, and I've always said you can't pay no attention to that because there's so many ways to move money around, do signing bonuses and rework contracts and stuff. The salary cap's a joke. It really
you can't tell me that there isn't underhanded dealings where they're like, hey, we'll take care of you over here. You know, it doesn't have to be involved in an NFL contract. We'll take you over here and do this and that. And, you know, this will make it look on the up and up over here.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I mean, that's what Minnesota's fighting with freaking Darius Smith for, because they signed him to, I don't remember exactly how many years it was. I think it was like a 2-year deal, but he wants out now, and Minnesota don't want to let him go. You know, they don't want to let him go not because of the player he is, but because of the money that they have tied up in him.
Yeah.
You know, and then, yeah, that's what these players don't understand. It don't matter how you feel. You've got money and you've got a contract tied up in your name in a certain uniform, and you're expected to play that contract. You know?
Yeah. I mean, I expect players, especially, see, to me, I agree with you on that, Ron, because like with Megatron, I didn't, I will never take nothing from Megatron for being a Lions fan. He's probably the best player in my life that I got to personally watch play the game, because I was just a little baby when Barry Sanders walked away. I mean, I remember a little bit of football, but not much. But when Kelvin walked away, he left years on his contract, and then he cried about a signing bonus. He had to pay back like $1.6 million, but he got his fully guaranteed money paid for. So it's like, dude, you lost a small signing bonus. Why are you crying?
I think with the trade of the Aaron Rodgers, I do think that they will get the first round pick. I don't know if they're going to get the starting caliber player. I think they'll get the first round pick, and I believe that with their trade of Moore to Brown gives them a second round pick. I believe Green Bay could get one of them. Like I said, I don't think they're going to get a starting caliber player, but to be honest with you, you can sign those in the not starting caliber, but you can sign them in free agency. Well, you can get starting caliber in that, but you get your players in the drafts and shit like that. Here's the thing. Aaron Rodgers is a 4-time MVP. He is a Super Bowl winner. And when you have trades out there like the Deshaun Watson trade or the Matthew Stafford trade to the Rams and stuff like that, all these, starting level quarterbacks that are getting all these huge packages that comes with them and everything. There is no reason, because until Matthew Stafford played with the Rams, he didn't have a Super Bowl. Deshaun Watson's never had a Super Bowl. They got all these huge packages. Aaron Rodgers does have one. So, yes, I think hold out for your first and second if that's what you want to do. You have every right to do it. And if you don't get it, then you tell Rodgers, look, here's your choices, buddy. You can sit on the bench and we can pay you, or you can retire for a year and then go wherever the hell you want. And I believe that's what they'll tell him.
I agree. I mean, that's what they should tell him. But at the same time, too, is I don't see any other teams jumping for Aaron Rodgers. So if you're trying to if they really want Love as a starting QB and don't want to deal with Rodgers, they got to get him moved. And they should jump on it. They should try to get it done fast enough because I haven't heard one other team even try to be in talks.
Like I see a comment on the screen right now that says Rodgers hasn't done much in 10 years since last Super Bowl. He's definitely not getting any younger. I agree with that. He's not getting any younger, and he hasn't done much in 10 years. But you can't really even say that because he had back-to-back MVP years. He had back-to-back 13-3 seasons. The man is almost never under 4,000 yards passing. And any time I've ever known watching him, I think I've seen 1 year he was like right almost 4,000, but it was like 3,800 some odd shit like that. But so you can't really say he hasn't done much in 10 years because that's just utter nonsense.
All right, I got to follow up on a couple of things. The first thing is that the reason that the package was so big for Matthew Stafford is because they made them give them extra picks so that they would take on Jared Goff and his contract.
Yeah, because
there's the first thing. Deshaun Watson is young, talented, led the league in passing yards before all this stuff happened, and then sat out for basically 18 months. The Browns are a desperate team to have a superstar at quarterback. They didn't have a whole lot else going on for them. And the owner pushed it through by making this guaranteed contract that obviously no other owner in the league is interested in doing because they're surely not going to do it for Lamar Jackson. But enough of talking about these contracts and Aaron Rodgers. He played for a team last year that didn't win the NFC North. Let's talk about the champions. I got a few things I want to say about the Minnesota Vikings.
Even though
while I have time here,
I just want to
say, I'm giving y'all a hard time.
I just want to add this.
Yeah.
If you want to talk like that, still remember the Lions were actually still a better team than you guys.
No. Better record. We won the division.
Fair
You
and
couldn't
square.
get up off the mat the first 7 weeks of the season, so you just be quiet while I talk about my team. All right, so the first thing I want to say is that I was very happy this last year with Kevin O'Connell's offense. It's their first year, and so they showed a lot of promise. They utilized their weapons to the best of their ability. I want to thank the Detroit Lions for trading TJ Hawkinson to us. It gives us a bona fide tight end. I have never been sold on Irv Smith, and I haven't liked the tight ends we've had. I miss, Klein Saucer and some of them other guys from back in the years past. I'm very happy this offseason with the hiring of Brian Flores as the defensive coordinator. Our defense was in the toilet with Mike Zimmer, and it didn't really get any better, under Ed Donatel. Now, I liked Ed Donatel. I thought he was a good hire. I've seen him put up some good defenses over the years as defensive coordinator for other teams, and it may have just been that we didn't have the personnel, even though I feel like we were stacked at all three levels. You got Daniil Hunter, and you've got Zadarius Smith on the line. At linebacker, you got Kendricks. At safety, you got Harrison Smith. At corner, we had Patrick Peterson. I felt like we had the talent. And obviously, we won the division, okay? But the defense really held us back. The offense couldn't put up enough points in the playoffs because the defense was letting them down. The other teams were controlling the clock, running the football down their throat. I haven't seen a lot of our pickups yet, but I'm going to check it out here soon. I will say I'm sad that they had to let Eric Kendricks go. It was an obvious cost-cutting move. I wish him luck with the Chargers. I'm sad to have seen Adam Thielen. He was a homegrown guy right there in Minnesota, played his first 7-8 years there in Minnesota at a Mankato State. And he ended up with the Carolina Panthers. And so we've lost some weapons. The draft's going to be really important for us this year. The scheme will be different defensively. And so I'm really looking forward to our defense stepping up. If Kirk Cousins can get out of his own way, then we'll be all right. But I'm not against the trade rumors that I've seen about trading Dalvin Cook away from the Vikings. From Thanksgiving to the end of the season, I can't tell you how many times they had the ball on the goal line and he couldn't punch it in. And it was very frustrating for that to happen. Against New England on Thanksgiving, they had the ball on the goal line 3 different times. Couldn't punch it in. Had to throw the ball. Sometimes they scored, sometimes they didn't. But you got to be able to run the football from the 1-yard line. And I'm not blaming the offensive line because the offensive line did a decent job this last year.
Well, you guys, look, I think you guys and Alexander Madison is actually a better short goal line back than Dalvin Cook is. I mean, Dalvin Cook's good in the open field. If he ever gets in the open field, I mean, he can run right past you. I mean, we've seen it 1,000 times. He's kind of like Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones is fast once he gets in the open field. But
I like Aaron Jones.
When it comes to, getting a first down or punching it across the goal line and shit like that, A.J. Dillon is the man. He's the one they go to, and Minnesota needs a guy like that. And then Dalvin Cook's not it.
Do you really think are they going to trade Cook? Because I feel like if Cook is really going to get traded, I feel like it should have been. I feel like talks would have been going on with somebody right now. And that's the thing. I've heard the rumors. Me and you have talked about it, Dave, on the broadcast. But since the first rumors came, I haven't heard a peep.
Yeah, no, it's one of those that they talk about it briefly, then everybody forgets about it, and then it sneaks up on you a couple days before draft time.
It's very possible.
And I'm looking. You look at and I can put it up here real quick. If you look at, I've got the wrong thing here. Hang on. If you look at the draft order, you can look and see who it might be that might be, I'm assuming that they would get, and I could be wrong. I'm assuming that they would get at least a low first-round draft pick for Dalvin Cook. And so when I look at the draft board, here we go. When I look at the draft board and look and see who needs a running back, I'm not worried about Pittsburgh. Jacksonville could be a possibility, although I think I like Travis Etienne there. The Giants were able to keep Saquon Barkley. There's no way he's going to Dallas. They can't afford him. Now, Buffalo's lost their running game. Devin Singletary went to the Texans. They've got the rookie James Cook, but the other dude that they had in the backfield there, I think he's gone too. So maybe, Minnesota's been known to make a lot of trades with Buffalo. That could be someplace. Cincinnati lost Samaje Perine, and so that could be another spot for him to land in. What do you think, buddy?
Yeah, or what even about the Eagles?
The Eagles, they signed Rashad Penny.
Yeah, but they lost
Miles Sanders, but they've still got, I think it's Boston Scott and Kenneth Gainwell.
But do you trust those guys?
They don't run like what do I want to call it? They don't have a workhorse back. They run a rotation there.
Yeah, but
So
I get what you're saying.
yeah,
But I also heard this, and it's probably a good time to bring it up, even though it has nothing to do with the North. I shared an article on 4TH&Goal Sports just, I would say, less than an hour ago, that they said Zeke has picked his teams that he's interested to sign with, and two of those teams were Philadelphia, Cincinnati, and I think I might even see Buffalo. Let me jump on Facebook because I'm already on the 4TH&Goal page here, and I'll actually tell you the list of those teams. I thought it was kind of odd. Let's see.
well, I know that we've talked about that. I thought he would be a good short yardage back for the Denver Broncos,
Here we go.
but
Here we go.
they
Adam
picked
Scheffler.
up Pirine. So
Adam Scheffler 5 hours ago. Cowboys running back Zeke Elliott has narrowed down his options to where he'll play to the Eagles, Jets, Bengals. The Jets were the other team.
Bengals. The Jets don't need them. They've got enough running backs on their depth chart. They got Brees Hall coming back. They've got Michael Carter, and they've got, I can never get his name right. Let me find it. I've got the book today. It's Zillist Knight or something like that.
That's
There we go. Jets.
I think you said Zill's Knights. That sounds familiar.
They got Michael Carter, Brees Hall. Zonovan Knight. Played at North Carolina State. So they've got them. I think Cincinnati hasn't picked up a backup running back. I could see him going there. Plus, I'm sure he wants to win, and Cincinnati is going to be a decent team, even though they lost both their safeties and a pass rusher on defense. I haven't seen a whole lot of pickups on their part yet, but they're another team I'm sure we'll discuss on a Sunday night spectacular.
Oh yeah. So, but I'm curious to see what happens with Cook. And before we sign in Montgomery, I'm not gonna lie, part of me was like, Cook could be good with Swift, but I'm happy we got Montgomery just because we saved money and got younger.
We talked about that this last week on the Sunday Night Spectacular. I think he's a better player than Jamal Williams.
Oh, for sure.
And so, he is a tackle breaker. He breaks tackles left and right. And if he's got a decent line in front of him, which he did not have in Chicago, he's going to be a 1,200-yard back for you.
Oh, for sure. I have no doubt in my mind that he's going to be that back. Because I mean, if you look what he did with Chicago last year with one of the worst O lines in the league, he still averaged 4.4 yards a carry and like 900 and something rushing yards. Now that's pretty good when you don't have protection. I mean, what would you say? Justin Fields got sacked 55 times? Me
It was a lot.
So for a back to have that type of a year, that kind of O-line, it tells me when he's in Detroit next year and we got a healthy O-line and one of the best in the league, he should have no problem, hitting over 1,000 yards. Now, Ron, I felt like you were going to ask me a question. Go.
Oh, I was just going to ask you how you felt about Jamal Williams leaving.
Part of me was upset about it because I wanted Jamal. I'm not going to lie.
I like
I like Jamal because, Jamal chose to come here when he did, knowing that we were going to suck, knowing we are going to go through a rebuild. And he put all that shit and came here with a smile on his face. And, I felt like he was one of the players that really got shit rolling for the Lions to turn it around this season.
Well, if you'll remember correctly, Chris, I told you when Jamal Williams said he was signing with Detroit, I told you and I told every Lion fan that I know, I said, you guys are going to love Jamal Williams. The dude's a character. He's funny. He brings a certain kind of energy into the field. I mean, I love Jamal Williams with the Green Bay. I was mad when he left, but it is what it is. It's a business. You got to do what you got to do. And,
Exactly.
I wish Jamal.
I mean, I went to the Lions game I went to this year. It was against against Jacksonville. We killed them in Ford Field, and just watching Jamal out there warm up, throw the ball with kids and the crowd and dancing and warming up by himself, throwing the ball to the crowd, playing catch, and just getting people into the game. That's honestly so cool just to watch. Even if you're not catching the ball, you're enjoying watching them do it.
Yeah,
and
he the same shit with Green Bay. That's why I liked him the way I did.
But my point when it comes to Jamal, even though I love him, I'm okay he left. Because at the sad day, I actually feel bad for him. Because according to reports and sources, that the Lions offered him a similar deal to the Montgomery deal. It was just a few bucks off from what the report said, and his agent told him that he can get him a better deal. So the Lions gave him actually a deadline to tell him yay or nay, and they were going to move on if he wasn't ready by that deadline. Well, he went over that deadline, so we signed Montgomery. And then he signs a 3-year, $12 million deal. And it's like, dude, you just lost $2 more million that you would have got if you overrided your agent and signed the contract and stayed in Detroit. So your agent just cost you money.
Well, it's a similar deal with Devontae Adams and with us. Green Bay offered Devontae Adams more money to stay with Green Bay than the Raiders offered him. He wanted out. He left. He thought.
Now I'm actually a little bit, and I need to say this, is I told last Sunday, I told David, right, on the stream, and now I'm a little upset at him because, when he signed that contract with the Saints, he ran his mouth saying Detroit was disrespectful with their offer. And it's like, dude, just tell the truth. I understand you might look dumb because your agent lost you out on money, but there's no reason to try to switch the story up to make you look like the victim. Like, you had a home here. You chose.
It's just like everybody else that fucking makes these. They come in. They make these outlandish moves, thinking the grass is going to be greener on the other side. 9 times out of 10, it's not. Devontae Adams is so pissed off right now he can't even see straight. He wanted to play with Derek Carr. As soon as he gets there, they ship Derek Carr out the fucking door. And now he's stuck with somebody he doesn't want to play with. He doesn't want to play with what's his name? Who the hell they signed?
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, there you go. He does not want to play with Jimmy Garoppolo. He's pissed off like you couldn't believe, but he's stuck now. He's fucking stuck because he signed a damn contract. And nobody's going to get rid of Devontae Adams,
See, that's the problem, I think, in the NFL. In the NBA, it works for these like super teams, you want to call them, players trying to go to play with their buddies, their friends. You know what I mean? It works in the NBA. I don't think it really works in the NFL because the NFL is a lot different. You know what I mean? Because you get a new coach. Once a new coach gets there and has say things, they want to switch stuff up. They want, you know what I'm saying? They want stuff their way, not how it was before, their vision. I think it was stupid. We've talked about it multiple times. I think they did Derek Carr dirty. I'm hoping the Saints play them this year. I mean, I haven't looked at the schedule to see if Vegas plays the Saints, But I pray that they play the Saints, and I pray that Derek Carr goes lights them up. That'd be priceless.
Long story short, with me and the Green Bay Packers, just to go back to that real quick. If Aaron Rodgers does leave and he gets traded, I'm okay with it because at this point, well, Rodgers can't play for us forever. We all know that. Eventually, he's either going to retire or go somewhere else. What makes me mad about Aaron Rodgers is in an interview last year, not last year, the year before last, when he was doing all this offseason nonsense. He said in an interview, somebody asked him, "Are you going to finish your career with Green Bay?" And he said, "Oh yeah, absolutely." And then he comes out this year, and because they're shopping him around, he throws a tantrum and he wants to get traded. Okay, great.
Ron, he's got to say the right things. You know, I mean, obviously, if they put him on the spot, everybody tells people what they want to hear, and when they're put on the spot, you know, they know that they're going to be recorded, or it's going to be, you know, a reporter's going to put it in the newspaper. It'll be all over social media. If he says, "Well, I'm not real sure," after he just signed a big contract, you know.
Well, that to me, that's beside the point. I mean, you should be able to check the words a little bit better than that. But at the end of the day, with all that put aside, if Aaron Rodgers wants to leave and he wants to get traded, he gets traded. Hey, buddy, it's the summer of love.
But now I got a question since you bring up that Adams trade, because I'm pretty sure I heard it in an interview from him and read it released, and he said one of the reasons why he asked for trade out of Green Bay was for the fact too is he was sick of the is Rodgers going to retire shit, because you know if he stayed in Green Bay he wanted to play with Aaron Rodgers. He didn't want to go through a rebuild. And that was one of the reasons why he said, "All right, trade me," because Aaron Rodgers last year didn't really let anybody know he was coming back until training camp, and it was mandatory.
Are you talking about Adam?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know that.
And I mean now, you know, Adams is all man, like now Adams is in a whole different boat. But I think honestly, I'll say right here, I think Vegas is in Matt Patricia 2.0 loading.
Yeah, I mean, I can say it, but okay, I want to throw some stats out to you, okay? And it's not if you go back to I believe it was last year when we played the Eagles and Aaron Rodgers got hurt and went out for a few plays or maybe about a half a game or something like that. Jordan Love came in against the Philadelphia Eagles, mind you. I think they were undefeated at the time. Came out, and the short time that he did get to play, this dude went 6 of 9 for 122 yards and a touchdown. He was dicing and slicing the Eagles up like you wouldn't believe. Now, is he going to be able to do that the whole game? If he starts the whole game, I don't know. That still remains to be seen. But the man has definitely showed some improvement. So give the kid a shot. You know, give him his chance.
I mean, it's his time. He's been in the league for what, 4 years now?
3.
Yeah, going into his fourth season.
He's been around Rodgers for 3 years.
I mean, this is when Aaron Rodgers. Let's remember now. This is when Aaron Rodgers got his break in the NFL. Year 4. Year 5, he won and then year 5 was the Super Bowl victory. Am I right?
Look, I look at it like this. Everybody, all the Green Bay Packer fans, there's some out there that absolutely can't stand Rodgers. They're tired of his prima donna shit and all that, and that's fine. You can be mad at him if you want. The way I look at it, he's a great quarterback. He'll always be a great quarterback. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Nobody can take that away from him. But at the end of the day, he's getting old. You know, we're going to have to face the music at some point or another and move on to him. And you know, if it's Jordan Love, it's Jordan Love. If we have to sign somebody else, we have to sign somebody else. It is what it is. It's all trial and error, and you got to figure it out. The one thing that we do have good on our side is Green Bay has always been good about drafting and developing quarterbacks. They did it with Brett Favre. They did it because Brett Favre wouldn't shit when he was with Atlanta. You know, nobody even knew who Brett Favre was in Atlanta. They made fun of him and made jokes about him, and he comes to Green Bay and turns out to be what he was. you know.
Yeah.
And then you got Aaron Rodgers come straight out of the draft. He wanted to get drafted by the San Francisco 49ers. He was disappointed when he got drafted by the Green Bay Packers. And look what he turned out to be. Who's to say love is not going to be the same thing? You know, we can't. None of us can. I don't care how big of an armchair GM you are. You don't know. I don't know. None of us know.
No, that's why you see bust every year. Every draft has probably what do you say, David? Probably 1 to 2 prospects that turn out to be bust. I would say there's
Oh, the 50% of everybody drafted is out of the league within 2 years.
and that's crazy to think about.
Which is why when you see these teams that put up, they've got like 10 draft picks and they keep like 7 of them and they all end up starting and they all end up being good players. Those are those super drafts. Those are super drafts like the Steelers had in the 70s. Hell, the Chiefs just had a draft like that this last year. They got Pacheco in the 7th round. They got a pass rusher and a corner in the 1st round. They had a corner in the 5th round. They had they picked up the Sky Moore in the 2nd round. I mean, they got tons of guys, good scouting, good drafting. That's the way teams have always been built over the years. When free agency started up, it kind of threw a monkey wrench in the way some of these teams build their teams because they couldn't rely on their ability to keep them anymore because of the salary cap that was imposed.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening now, because people are free agents, they leave because they want to be closer to home. They leave for the bigger money. They leave because they don't like the coach, whatever the case may be. That used to not be the case back in the day. It didn't matter if you didn't like the coach. This is where you're playing, and unless I trade your ass, you're not going anywhere. And there wasn't any other leagues in that time that they could go and switch to.
You're 100% right. I mean, you can even say that by the Lions last year because a lot of our rookies from last year started by the end of the year, and they were starters at the end of the year last year, and some of them guys like Mr. Kirby Joseph, just not trying to rub it in Ron's face over here, but that young boy gets to officially say, I caught the last pass Aaron Rodgers thrown as a Packer because he intercepted at the end of the game. So I hope he kept that ball because that ball could be worse.
And that's a guarantee because I'm telling you right now, Aaron Rodgers will never play for the Green Bay Packers again.
No.
If he doesn't get traded to the Jets for some reason, he'll just go ahead and retire. I'm absolutely certain he's going to be a Jet this year. The Jets were caught in a situation where Rodgers admitted he wanted to play there. And everybody that the fans are all clamoring for him there in New York. And so now I think they're slow playing this whole thing so that they don't have to give up as much compensation. This deal will get done probably right at draft time because they want to get that compensation and use it in this year's draft.
Well, I think they honestly know something already because I've seen a couple of interviews, and these may be interviews that maybe you guys don't see if you don't follow the Green Bay Packers. But the president, Mark Murphy, has made a comment. He says, there is something in place, but I'm sworn to secrecy and I'm not going to say anything. So I think there's something there. I think it may even be one of these draft time blockbuster trades at the very last minute. And if it is, hey, so be it. Honestly, Dave and Chris, both of you, I'm all for seeing what Love can do. Now I've heard some rumors about Green Bay wanting to sign a veteran quarterback to sit behind Love if he doesn't work out. I've heard rumors of Carson Wentz, and I've heard rumors of Scam Neutron. I can't stand Scam Neutron. Keep him as far away from Green Bay as you can. In fact, if I could, I'd go down there and kick his ass out of Green Bay myself. I can't stand that punk. But And Carson Wentz, I mean, we went through all that shit with Carson Wentz in Philadelphia. I'm from Pennsylvania, and they used to call him Wentzylvania, and I just, no, just stay away from Green Bay. I'd rather you get somebody in the draft.
I hear that. So you talked the Vikings, you talked about the Packers. So let's have a little session about the Lions here.
Oh, time for me to leave then. Gonna talk about the Lions. I gotta go.
Oh, what? You don't want to hear about how our defense is going to be better than yours? I just want to say, this it is weird, and I just thought of this the other day, and I've been waiting to be back on a broadcast to bring this up. I thought it was funny because before free agency there was a lot of rumors. Lions are after Ramsey. Lions are going to do this. And then you got Dan Campbell and you got Holmes both saying, calm down. We're only signing key free agents if we see fit. Don't expect us to make this big splash in free agency. And I was like, you know what? I'm okay with that. That's what I see happening too. And so this whole free agency, I've just been relaxed. I haven't, got my normal like, oh my God, we're going to lose Jamal and then now looking at it, they played everybody because if you look at their signings, that was a pretty big splash. It wasn't what they came.
They are loading up on defense in Detroit.
Our draft, and honestly, going to the draft, I knew we would have to have another good draft to even be better this year. But we're going into a draft, not saying we don't need to get better at some positions. Of course, we need to get some good youth players and some key positions. But for the most part, we can go into draft night relaxed because our defense, as of right now, is completely rebuilt. What this draft is going to do is going to allow us to get younger get a defensive end, and that's where I think the Lions do at 6 now. I think we draft the best defensive end in the draft at that point. And now you got another young guy to rotate in through the defense. And I still think we get a corner, for case one of these guys leaves next year, that corner would be ready to take over one of those open positions. But right now, for the most part, the Lions can relax because they got their starters in their defense. This draft is just turned into depth and future starters. So I hate to say this, but I think the Lions are still up to something because they could have cut Romeo. Was it? I think Romeo. I don't know if it's Romeo or Julian because we got two brothers, but we could have cut one of them, and then they turned around and he took less money, restricted his contract for very cheap cap hit to stay with the team. Our Valeni, our offensive lineman, yesterday, he just willingly took less money and redid his contract to stay in Detroit. So we're still clearing up cap space. And Lions fans watching this broadcast, let's not freak out when I say this because I'm not saying it's going to happen, but there is a rumor floating around that the Lions are clearing up this cap space because they're supposedly in talks with possible trade of Ed Oliver. I don't know if 100% that's going to happen, but that's the rumor.
From Buffalo?
That's the rumor I heard. I seen it today and I shared it. Like I said, I don't know if it's 100% true or not. Or no, actually, I did share. It was a comment I seen through a page from a source. Like I said, I have no credits to give. I'm not 100% buying in. I just think they got something going on. It's also, I think it could be that Shark was supposed to go down to Carolina this past weekend, and he never went. He was in Detroit posting Detroit Lions highlights on his Instagram story. So I think it could be just re-sign him, to be honest. But there is a rumor that I did see today that they were in talks of maybe trading for Ed Oliver. I don't know how true that is, because like I said, it was from an unnamed source. Just something floating around. But I mean, if they could get Ed Oliver for a cheap draft pick, I'll be okay with it. But I don't know if I want to commit to the money he wants. That's my only issue with it, because
Well, he'd definitely be a run stuffer for you.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I got faith in Holmes. If that's his angle, and that's what he got up his sleeve, that he'll get the best deal and get Ed, take the best deal he can give. But I think it could be for Shark. Because like I said, we loaded up on defense.
Can I make an early prediction for next year?
Go for it.
I can throw this out there. Keyshawn Nixon will get 2 kickoff returns, and one of them will be in the NFC North against one of the 3 other teams. Guaranteed. I'm going to put that. I'm going to stamp that right now. Cha-ching.
So we got Ron predicting kicking returns and guaranteeing it.
Guaranteed. Cha-ching. Stamp it.
It must have been a good comment that I haven't seen come through the live stream.
Well, gentlemen, I'd love to stick around, but I promised my kids I'd be off after a while, so I'm going to have to take off, but it's been a pleasure.
All right, buddy. I appreciate it.
I'll see all the rest of you on Sunday for the Sunday Spectacular.
You guys remember that, because Sunday, me and David will be here. So that was huge for you guys to keep Nixon. He's a pretty good player. So
I can't believe they only signed him to a 1-year deal, but I look for that to go up after this year. I think they'll sign him to a bigger contract.
Does he just play special teams, or does he play more for you then?
Well, right now he's just playing special teams, but he can play. I believe it was they said safe. I want to say safety or secondary, something like that.
Yeah, I think it's smart to get him for 1 year, because just because he's a good kick returner, really don't necessarily mean he's a good coverage guy. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
like I said, the NFL is trying to take the return game out of the NFL. That's why they moved the kickoffs up and shit like that. But he done it last year. He done it twice last year. So
honestly, it's nice. It's really nice nowadays to see players actually run back a touchdown, and I mean that, because like you said, you growing up as a kid watching this sport, Devin Hester was the funnest person to ever watch on a kick return, a punt return, and even though I hate the Bears, I gotta give that man props. That dude was. I remember the Super Bowl, and I was like, "Oh shit, the Bears are gonna win the Super Bowl." In 06, opening kickoff, he runs it back. I said, "Here it goes." That's such love, and then bam, that was probably the biggest firework for Chicago all night.
The NFL actually actively came right out and said, we're trying to take the kick return play out of the game. I mean, they don't want it there because they say players get hurt easily.
I mean, they do, because
well, they're running full speed.
They do. I mean, I wouldn't say so much in the pros, because the pros, they try, it happens in the pros. But what I mean is the pros respect it. Like, I knew kids, like my cousins, matter of fact, like they played for a big high school in Michigan. and my one cousin won the best linebacker in the state of Michigan award. For one of the best linebackers, and he was on kickoff, and like him and his buddy, we were, talking about old football days, and like he said, they were talking about kick returns, and when they were doing kickoffs, and they're like, yeah, that was our favorite part. I'm like, why would that be your favorite play? And they're like, be honest, because we just love hitting people. And then they're like, unfortunately, we hurt a lot of people. And so it's like, I can see where it's dangerous because you really have players like that. And I don't see that as a wrong people, you know what I mean? I see them two kids loving the game of football and loving a certain play, a certain part of that play. And, when I played nose tackle. I love hitting the quarterback. I love, throwing the center, getting it past the center and just laying them out to get past them. That's what made football fun. But, in the kickoff, it's just one of those plays where even though you see people coming, it's that one guy that could be on the field you don't see coming, and he's seriously going to screw you up. So I get it. To me, a lot too. I think it's just NFL being overboard because look at society. We're not going to go into politics or anything like saying, but just as a society, I feel like people react to injuries 10 times more nowadays than they did back in the olden days. Because I remember 2002 watching the Wings and Steve DeShane getting his teeth knocked out and then putting it on camera and showing them on camera with the pair of players pulling the rest of his teeth out, and he didn't miss one shift. Now today you would get the story of that happening, but you would never see no videotape of that actually happening.
Oh,
because people would lose their shit.
If they get now they miss 3 weeks.
Hockey is still not like that. Players still play with a lot of injuries.
But
the games have to be serious.
Linemen and defensive linemen, offensive linemen, they still play like like there was no tomorrow. But these wide receivers, especially quarterbacks, oh my God, quarterbacks are the biggest pussies in the world. I'd say, and I don't know if you're going to agree with me on this or not, but I would say probably the toughest quarterback that I've ever seen in my life is, and I'll give him props, Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford dude's a beast. He's tough as hell.
Yeah. And, the sad thing is about Stafford is, there's rumors that he's on the trading block because they're not sure if he can finish the game, finish the season right now. I don't know if that's how true that is, but there's generally assume of it. And, it's not, I wouldn't really say it's about being pussies, Ron. I wouldn't really call them that. I just think like this game has became the NFL they make it known on every sports TV now. We've been talking about it all night tonight. At the end of the day, it's a business. So it's been programmed to these players that it's a business. You gotta make sure you make what you want for this and that. So now when they get hurt and they can play through it, or the doctor says, if you sit out a few weeks and you can come back and maybe rally and take your team to the playoffs, you see more players taking the choice to sit out because they're making that much money. The team is making them sit out as well. Don't think these teams ain't making that head call. I mean, Stafford wanted to finish the year last year. I mean, the last year he was with Detroit, he fractured his back again. And with Matt Patricia, and Matt Patricia made him sit out for the rest of the season. They wouldn't allow him to play another game. And he was like, no, I want to play. And they're like, you're not playing. We pay you too much money to let you go play and you not be able to be here next year. type stuff. And that's what's coming. And you know, I hate to say it, these contracts keep going up. You're going to see that happening to more running backs, more wide receivers, more cornerback safeties, because these teams are not going to pay you these big contracts. And then if they think they can win, you know, 5 games while you sit out 5 games because they're paying you $90 million and they want you to finish your contract out, they're going to make you sit for those 5 games and try to win it with the backup. You know, I think you're going to stop seeing players playing hurt a lot more throughout the years. I think it's going to become more of a common thing. And that's just because of the money these guys are making.
They make insane money to play a damn game. But I have been one of the biggest advocates, and I didn't used to believe it myself, but some of the times you watch some of these games and some of the absolute horrific calls that these referees make, that it's blatant that they screwed the call up, you know. I honestly believe that if not all of these games, at least some of these games are predetermined and they know who's going to win them before that damn first second ever ticks off that clock.
I don't believe that necessarily. I do believe they favor a team, though. I'll give you that.
Right.
I do feel like they try to, because of Vegas. That's why, as much as I do like sports betting's illegal now, that's one thing that makes me question it, because it does seem like you're seeing worse calls missed than you did before.
Absolutely.
So I get what you're saying. I've had those conversations, but at the end of the day, I don't think you could truly fix a sport unless you make it like let's script it to the T.
I mean, come on though, you got to be honest. You've seen some of these calls that are, I mean, and they're not just like what's the word I'm looking for? They're not something that could be misconstrued or something. It's some of these calls they do, Chris, are just horrendous, dude. They're horrendous. You know damn good and well that they see it. And even if they don't see it then, they see it after they go and do a replay or whatever, and they blatantly see that they blew the call. Come back and change the call. Don't just because you called it on the field, let it go through. I think that's the stupidest rule in the world.
Well, see, the thing is they don't have replays on penalties, and that's the thing. And I think that's where it kills it. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I was one of them guys that were okay with be able to challenge for pass interference. And I was hoping that would have done more justice towards this, that allowed them to maybe throw a rule in there that you could challenge a penalty call and make maybe one day where you could challenge every call to a certain extent. But looking at that and looking how petty teams could be in a heated situation, I don't think that could ever happen, because you would have every damn coach in the league trying to throw as many challenges they could on every call. You know what I'm saying? Because there's this, you just got those games in the game. Everybody's doing it. No one's going to own up to a penalty. Everybody's going to want to challenge every call, you know. So I just think it's screwed up at this point. I also think, you know, shit's favored, but yeah, at the end of the day, I think it's the NFL. And why I say this is you're starting to get these older referees going to TV. You know, they're getting chances to move to TV, to become analysts, and make 10 times more money than they can by being an NFL ref. Because the NFL refs are only part-time. So right now, the NFL refs, they're sitting at home. They're probably coaching freaking Little League basketball right now at the rec center. You know what I mean? I'm not saying they're broke or desperate for money by any means, But what I'm trying to say is, for the next 3-4 months until preseason starts, these guys are at home on the couch, not getting paid. So to me, to keep refs on their job, on their game, you know what I mean? I don't think you're going to have them 100% until you make it better for them. And because now the good head refs that have called decent games, I mean, every ref, I don't care who refs the game and how good you are, you're going to miss some calls, but you still have, the respect through the league. A lot of those guys are leaving the sport. They're leaving the field. Now you got younger referees losing that leadership, that mentorship. And now you got these guys are younger and probably feel some type of way that, everybody on the field around them are multi-millionaires. Most of them are. And these guys are getting paid peanuts to make the right call or the wrong call. So at the end of the day, you know how it is being a business owner and working your ass off. Are you going to really truly work your ass off if you don't feel like you're getting appreciated? Are you going to be, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're going to make decisions on it. So I think the NFL as a company, and I think as a respect of the fans and the league itself in football, period, they should keep these guys on a payroll. They should have these guys right now watching game, in a school, send them to school, have a little school set up, have these guys watch, bad calls that they missed or made from the season before, make them watch that shit, make them learn it, and then maybe you could see a change in the way the game's called.
But there's only one problem with that. The freaking NFL rules, for whatever reason, seem to change as much as the damn tax code does. I mean, it's ridiculous.
That too. I mean, like look at the last 2 years after they got loud on when they made the rule about sacking the quarterback. The 2 years, not last year, but the year before last year and the year before that, they were almost calling flags on every time you touched the QB.
Uh-huh.
Last year they started doing that, and then the NFL complained about it in the beginning, and then you stopped seeing the flag as much.
Well, there were some game changers that one year when they were giving everybody crap about hitting the quarterback. Clay Matthews, man, he got hammered so many times when it was blatantly, obviously not roughing the passer. I mean, we lost the game against Minnesota because of that, because if they don't call that, Green Bay wins that game. And then there was one against, who the hell was it that he sacked? I can't remember now. There was one against Kirk Cousins, and I think it was Drew Brees. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, he got called like twice in that game. And we win that game if they don't get called. I mean, he just got hammered that one year when they were doing that.
I think that's one of the reasons why Clay Matthews retired, to be 100%.
Very well, maybe, yeah.
Because I was kind of shocked that Clay Matthews retired so early in his career to be 100%. I thought when he left Green Bay, I obviously knew he wasn't 100% happy with leaving Green Bay.
Right.
But I didn't think he was going to leave the league. But after I think all those tackles and the way the game's changed so much, you had to. I mean, if you go back, like Ray Lewis would never be able to play in the NFL right now. If Ray Lewis came out of retirement, they probably would kick him out of the league by the end of the year. Because they would say, "Oh, well, you're hitting the quarterbacks too hard." And that's the saddest part of it all, because they are definitely changing the game where some of these players can't even play the game that they were known that they're known for, you know what I'm saying? We got a couple comments I want to respond. The first one says NFL is legally entertainment, not sports. More accurately, they're listed as sports entertainment, not merely sports. Why? For a difference legal ramifications. Yes, I do know that. And I mean, it's possible because with that name title, it could be scripted like that, but I believe they do that because of everything the league does. If that makes sense. I think there's typical reasons for legal reasons. But I mean, I'm not in the front office. All I know is they could rig games. I don't know. I don't personally think it. I think they favor teams. I don't think it's fully rigged, because if I think it was fully rigged, I think we would see a lot different shit happen. The thing about the NFRS only working part-time would be an issue only if they were paid far less than they already are. We got now with that, no, I get what you're saying there, but it just, to me, it's, I think being a ref, I think you should be in training all year round. I think they should have some training programs. You know, if they want you to call a certain penalty for this particular flag, they want you to, you know, look out to clean this part of the game up. I'm cool with that. But to me is they should have these refs watching film of what they want cut out, and you know what I mean? So that way they get a memory, they can look for that exact happening and not call it when it never happened. I mean, I think, but at the same time too, it's out of, as fans wise, it's out of our hands at the end of the day too. You know what I mean? We can jump on a broadcast and talk about hours, and it really don't matter. I just think personally, and that I think in that aspect, because what I really think it is too, I think it's the NFL. Every year they push for something new that they want stricter rules on, if that makes sense. Like we just talked about with Clay Matthews and hitting the QB. Those 2 years, they wanted to be real strict on that call. Now, last year they complained about it being too strict and the refs laying up. So next year it's going to be a whole new agenda, a whole new thing that they want them to focus on. And then the flags are going to go crazy for that one thing. And to me is, you know, if you ask me, I'd rather have a game with no flags, and I'd rather watch two teams leave it all on the field. You will never hear me bitch about a game that the Lions lose and the refs let the boys play on both sides. The only time I'm going to make a comment is if they call a bullcrap call on us and then the other team does that and gets away with it. Because to me, if you're going to call it once, you better fucking call it again when the other team does it, because it's only right at that point. If you ain't going to call.
The one thing I wish the the NFL would get away with, and number one, I wanted to bring instant replay back, because I'm tired of this red flag bullshit and only having 2 challenges, and if you win a challenge, you get a challenge back. That's stupid to me. Just bring instant replay back, because nowhere in the history of mankind, anywhere, has anybody in their right mind complained about how long an NFL game is. If I'm going to commit to set 3 hours and watch a football game, I can set 4 hours and watch a football game. Screw your time saving crap. Half the time it don't work anyway. You still take more time sitting there looking through the video when they throw the red flag. Just bring instant replay back and be done with it.
I'm here. I just heard somebody told me the Lions just signed Cam Newton. I don't know why they would do. I mean, we do need a backup. I'm trying to see if it's legit.
What are you looking at?
Somebody commented and told me that Cam Newton just went to Detroit, but I'm not seeing that. I mean, I know we need a backup.
Look, I'm sorry, Chris, but if he went to Detroit, I'm happy as hell because he ain't Green Bay.
I mean, I don't care. If the Lions really wanted to sign him, he's just going to be, he's just going to be a backup, but I don't think, I just looked it up. He didn't sign. They're just starting the rumors because, he worked out and he's trying to make an NFL comeback. I mean, I'm not sure how far he'll actually make it into the league.
Right.
But I give him credit for trying. I think we got a perfect chance to I think what we did, because like I said earlier, when I was talking about us, we built our defense. You've seen the moves we made. We've made some big moves. Our defense is settled. We're at the position right now that we could get a quarterback and sit him behind Goff, coach him up a couple of years, and then we'll see where Goff is. Because me personally, I believe if Goff has another great year this year, especially if we go to the play, especially if we can win the North, go to the playoffs, win a playoff game, Goff is going to get his contract.
Right.
Goff is going to stay in the line with the Lions, and I'm totally cool with that. But, I'm also okay with drafting a quarterback at this point now. I don't want it at 6, and I don't want it at 18. I don't want it in the second round either. I'm okay with the 3rd and 4th rounder. Then you let the kids sit, learn offense, and and if something goes south with Goff, we could have available backup, ready to go. Backup alternative. And if and now per se, if we can get a good edge rusher at 6, and one of these quarterbacks that are supposed to go in the way up in the top 10 slip down and still there at 18, I wouldn't be too mad at maybe stealing one of those quarterbacks at that point then. But it has to be a guy that was projected to go way higher. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying I want to draft, Hooker at pick 18. Because Hooker's not going to be a first round pick. He's going to be probably a 4th to 5th round pick as a QB because he's 25 years old. Same thing with Bennett. I would be okay with the Lions doing that as a backup. I think that's the way it's probably going to happen, if you ask me. I don't really see us signing Cam Newton. Cam Newton hasn't played an NFL game in 2 years now?
I don't even know.
It's been about 2 years.
Oh, yeah, it's been a while. Been a minute.
I understand he's just coming back as a backup, and another team with is trying to start a rookie quarterback might not be a bad option for him to pick, but I think that's a stretch for the Lions to go because
this freaking dog is determined to knock my camera off the table. Go.
he just wants your attention.
I know. I've been giving him attention. It's driving me nuts. The dog's fucking big as a goddamn Sherman tank.
What you call it? Out of the whole division, out of all the signings out of the North, which one was the most shocking for you?
For me?
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I've been more wrapped up in this freaking Aaron Rodgers bullshit. I really haven't. paid that much attention to the sign. I would say probably the most shocking that I know of right now is the Robert Tonyan by the Bears. I don't understand what. I know that Green Bay is having an issue and they don't know how is going to come back from an ACL, and he wasn't that great this last year because of coming off the ACL. But I mean, you let him walk and let him go to a rival team, and I don't really think Robert Tonyan is going to get that much play time in Minnesota because they got that what's that tight end they got now? It's pretty good. Fuck, can't think of it.
Hawkinson.
No, shit. I can't think of his damn name now. He's been there a couple of years now. I don't know. Yeah, it'll hit me like a ton of bricks when I hang up this phone, but yeah, I think that guy's still going to get the majority of the shit, and Robert Tonyan's not. So I don't really understand that signing. That's probably the biggest. I don't know for me, and I'm kind of surprised that Minnesota let Thielen go.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they really had no choice, to be 100% honest. They kind of had to let him go just because of cap. But you know what I mean? See, that's the problem, you know what I mean, with the NFL. And you're seeing it more and more with these caps because you got teams so desperate trying to win. And you know, you get a window, and when you get these big players to come to your team and you got to pay them all this money, you get a window with these guys, and you get a window with these guys, and then it's only good for so long. And
You can't build a dynasty these days.
That's what I'm saying. You got a small window, and when you get the big cap, and that's one thing. That's one thing Minnesota did. They got themselves in cap trouble. Last year they really they tried for that cap, you know. And they put their money where their mouth is, and they went for it. It just didn't work out for them. And now they find themselves in cap trouble.
You want to talk about the cap thing? I mean, think about this. Right now, Green Bay has $24 million in cap space, and that's before the Aaron Rodgers trade or retirement or anything's done. These guys are going to have, if this Aaron Rodgers thing goes through, they're going to have all kinds of fucking cap space. All kinds of it. They can sign anybody they want.
No, not really, because if he retires, well, if he leaves and the contract leaves, then you'd be all right, 100%. But if he retires, you guys will still be fucked because you're going to get hit with the dead cap, the dead money against the cap.
Yeah, but I guarantee there's some kind of clause in there that takes at least some of it out. I mean, they'll be okay money-wise. They made all those cuts in.
The only way they could possibly do that is if they can get Aaron Rodgers to redo his contract before he retires. He would have to restrict his contract. And I hate to say this, if Aaron Rodgers has to retire and not get traded like he wants, then I think it'd be a hell no. There'd be no way in hell he would do that. Because at that point, he's going to be super pissed.
Well, at any rate, I think the Green Bay Packers are going to be just fine in cap space. And at the beginning of the year, before they started doing all their moves and everything, they were some $44 million over the cap or some shit like that. I don't know, some crazy number.
To be 100% honest with you, is the Packers, if everything works out with Love, the Packers probably only have about 2 years of a rebuild, which can be done through the draft. You got young receivers right now, so only thing you really need this year to focus on, it will be make it rebuild is the chemistry. I would say probably gonna take a whole year or a season for Jordan Love to get good chemistry with the wideouts through the year. It's going to take him time to get used to the speed of the game week in, week out. You know, I'm not going to sit there and say you guys are going to be a shitty ass team either. I just think that's the type of rebuild you guys are in right now, is to see if he can play and see if he can be that guy for you. And you know, I think you could do pretty good in the draft this year and next year. And then by next year, after next year, you should be pretty much going in your third year. If everything works out with Jordan Love, by Jordan Love's third year, I would officially say you guys would be a playoff team at that point. Because you guys don't have much. You can use the draft, you can save a lot of money. You know.
I'm not even going to say it's going to take 3 years. I don't really look for us to do much the first year. I don't look for us to be a shitty team unless the Jordan Love thing just falls apart. But right now, they got young receivers, they got young linemen, they got a young defense. You know, they got a decent defense, they got a decent O-line, they've got some young receivers. What they need to do is need to go out and get a new tight end. They need to get a veteran wide receiver in there, and then focus on the other things that you have holes or you need backup spaces if somebody gets hurt or something like that, and get a backup quarterback for Jordan Love. And you're set, you know.
Yeah.
You've got plenty of money to do it. You only need about $11 million total to sign your draft class.
I agree with you.
That right there leaves you at about 14 million before the Rodgers deal is done.
I agree with you on that. I believe the Packers. I believe the Packers are similar as long as Jordan Love works out, Ryan. I believe the Packers are very similar in a similar position as the Lions. You know how our rebuild went. We got Goff. You know, he was experienced. Jordan Love has been in the system for 3 years. He hasn't played it. So I think the first year, that's going to be your biggest hiccup. The second year, I think you can make a step up in the first year as long as Love is the guy. You know, that's the question. That's your $1 million question Green Bay has right now. Is Love the guy? As soon as you find that out, your rebuild could be pretty quick because you're not that far out. You know, it just really depends on where the quarterback play is to be with you guys. Just like, you know, when I had you on the first time, we talked about how being the Lions division. I still think it's the Lions division to win, but I can't ignore the fact that, you know, the Bears made a lot of huge moves. You know, they might not be the basement team. You know, at first I told you I think it'd be between you and the Bears fighting for third place.
But
I hate to say this, I think it could be Minnesota and Green Bay fighting for third place. If Justin Fields makes a step up with his new wideouts this season, it could be a showdown for first place between the Bears and Lions. They went hard in free agency.
It could be, but anything could be. I'm not going to automatically put Green Bay in third place or fourth place, either one. I'm just not. I can't because.
Oh yeah.
Love is.
No. I'm just going off of where the teams sit right now. I'm not necessarily saying Green Bay is going to finish third, fourth, because who do I know? You know, next season they could pull something out their ass and win the division. Anybody can win the division. I'm just going off of paper where I think the teams sit right now when I say it, because at first, you know, a few weeks ago, I thought it'd be Minnesota and Detroit fighting for the division again.
Well, I
Yeah.
look at it like this. It just takes it literally takes a single, getting a single player to sign with the Green Bay Packers, and it can happen on any given day. I mean, look how lucky uh, Minnesota got with Justin Jefferson. Yeah, the dude's a beast. You know, who's to say that Green Bay doesn't find somebody like that either in the draft or a veteran? Who's to say that Green Bay don't go out and get D Hop? And and if D Hop comes in there and him and Jordan Love mesh, and he throws it, it could be another Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, Jordan Love to DeAndre Hopkins. We just don't know.
You're 100% right.
So therefore, I can't put him in a place until I see him play. And I'm not even going to be able to judge it after the first or second game. I'm going to have to see him play for a while before I'm going to pass my judgment on him.
100%. But we hit our 135 tonight, Ron.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, a goal or something.
no, usually for like particular, we usually end the broadcast around like an hour and a half.
Oh, you mean an hour and 35 minutes?
Yeah,
Okay.
hour and 35 minutes. I didn't realize we were already up there. But no, like you're 100% right. I mean, this is the only second week of free agency. We still got a few more weeks before the draft, so anything could happen. And you're definitely right. I mean, it takes one player in the draft to completely change the whole outlook of your team, and it's possible. I mean, I think Green Bay is probably going to get a receiver.
Oh, they're going to have to. They got to replace Alan Lazard.
Yeah.
They're going to have to either get a veteran or they're going to have to draft somebody. I mean, they don't have a choice at this point.
They're being pretty quiet because right now with the cap, so I think that's what they're probably going to do. They're probably going to go heavy in the draft.
I honestly, this is what I honestly think. I look for right up next to draft day. There's going to be a blockbuster trade for Aaron Rodgers in between Aaron Rodgers and the Jets and shit like that. And I think it's probably going to be one of the biggest blockbuster trades of probably recent history.
Oh, I feel it. It is, and I can't wait till it happens. To
Right.
be honest, but we're gonna end this broadcast.
Okay. Sounds good, man. I'm ready to go sit down in my chair anyway. I ate too much tonight.
I feel you. I appreciate you coming on tonight.
Not a problem. Anytime you guys want to do a broadcast or whatever, just let me know.
I will, man. We'll get you back on here another time as well. It's always good having Ron Hampton on the 4th and Goal broadcast. I want to thank everybody who joined tonight at the last minute because I know we didn't really advertise. I've been looking for people. I couldn't get, and everybody was busy with work. I felt bad for canceling the show on Tuesday. So I'm thankful for Dave and I'm thankful for Ron. Both of them came in last minute to put this together because we wanted to be here for tonight for you guys. So I'm glad you guys, whoever joined us tonight with little advertisement, I appreciate the love and support. Thank you, man, as well. I enjoyed your comments tonight. If you go to 4th and Goal page and follow it, you get all the notifications every time we're live. We usually go live Sunday and Tuesday. I bring somebody on and I interview them. We talk a lot about their team. On Sunday, me and Dave, we go in depth for about 2 hours on Sundays, and we talk about every news, every article, everything, and we break it down for everything about the league.
We need to get some Bears fans on here too. So
yeah, next time we do a North segment, we got to find a beer fan. Unfortunately, the one beer fan we know is in Puerto Rico, the lucky bastard. But anyways, thank you, Ron. You guys all have a good night, and we'll see you back here Sunday night with Dave between 7 or 8 o'clock. I'm not sure which time yet, but the announcement will be up by tomorrow. So we'll see y'all back here on Sunday. Have a good one, guys.